Hello everyone, welcome back to Pacific Front channel. I know it's a bit late, but Happy New Year! I hope whatever dreams or goals you set this year can be achieved. In the previous video, we talk about defense equipment that came to strengthen the Indonesian Armed Forces in 2023 and the coming years. This advanced equipment will surely help Indonesia defend its sovereignty against real and potential threats looming in the future. However, some of the equipment ordered are still years away from military service. And right now, the Indonesian Armed Forces are still relying on old equipment as part of their defense strategy. So today, let's discuss some of them and figure out if there's a modern equivalent that can replace them. Stay tuned! Let's start with the Indonesian Marines. As we all know, the Marines have some of the oldest vehicles as their workhorse, while being one of the main spearheads of the armed forces, especially for the amphibious landings. Until now, they still operate the BTR-50 for the amphibious APC, PT-76 for the amphibious tank, and the K-61 and PTS as artillery carriers. Most of the vehicles were procured back in the early 50s in preparation for the Jayawijaya operation in Papua. Yes, some have been reconditioned and modernized, but is it worth keeping them operational while the vehicles have reached their maximum growth potential? Thankfully, we already have a strong candidate to replace the BTR-50. The more modern Zaha offers better ergonomics, more payload capacity, more protection, and more firepower than the BTR-50. I still don't know what's holding the acquisition though. Hopefully, the MOD can sort it out soon. Meanwhile, for the other two, in my opinion, the BMP-3F can replace the role of PT-76. It has a bigger gun, and the West doesn't have the equivalent capability anyway. If not due to Katsa and the war in Ukraine, I think adding more BMPs wouldn't hurt. But if the Marines are willing to sacrifice amphibious tanks with medium tanks like the Harimau and invest in ship-to-shore connectors, we will be able to solve both FSV and artillery carrier capability for the Marines with a single solution, like hitting two birds with one stone. Unfortunately, there's no such plan that I'm aware of at the moment. The next piece of equipment is the AMX-13. The Indonesian Army has been operating the AMX-13 for a long time. Some sources say the early variant with the 75mm gun was procured by the Army for the Jayawijaya operation in the early 60s. Just as we discussed before in the community post, the AMX-13 itself was one of the best armored vehicles of its generation. It's lightweight, fast, and more importantly, packs a serious punch. But just like everything else in this world, its time has ended. Many operators have retired the AMX-13 from the service, including France. And now, the population is decreasing to just a couple hundred vehicles. The Indonesian Army themselves are reported still operating around 120 vehicles, with some modernized with new engines and more modern firing control. But we don't have to worry because it already has a replacement. With the Harimau MT, the Army's cavalry units, especially within the Kodam, will get the replacement vehicles they need. My only concern is the number of Harimau MT ordered by the MOD. So far, the only confirmed order is just 18 vehicles. Surely, it's not enough to replace the entire fleet of the AMX-13 on a one-for-one basis, and we are far away if we intend to replace the Scorpion tank as well. The next old weapon that I want to discuss is the S60 57mm AA gun. Like the AMX-13, the S60 has been in service with the Indonesian Army since the early 60s. In that era, maybe AA guns like the S60 were formidable air defense equipment against aerial threats. But today, against so many threats that can slip out of the radar, operating slow and bulky AA guns like this is not going to be effective anymore. The gun needs a considerable time to set and pack, the ammunition is big and heavy, it can move on its own, and it requires quite a lot of crew to operate it. From what I see, these are disadvantages for the Army's air defense unit as the operators. There are many solutions for its replacement from SPAC to vehicle-based Visorat. But in my opinion, the best solution is a combination of AA guns with Visorat carriers. And we can see some examples of this combination, whether it's an existing or new systems that are being developed to meet increasing threats from the war in Ukraine. The next one, you must have guessed it, the KRI Chakra submarine. We've been talking about this so many times. Even though recently the boat has undergone an overhaul in PAL facility, it doesn't hide the fact that this submarine is more than 40 years old. And the older it gets, the greater the risk it poses to the submariners. The peer adversaries of Indonesia are currently having or are in the process of acquiring a new generation of submarines too, in which Indonesia and the KRI Chakra have no way to compete. Although I understand that the Navy is in a precarious situation, retiring KRI Chakra seems like the best decision. But if they retire it now without knowing when and what will be replacing it, can only sever their submarine operation. For its replacement, well, the original plan, as we already established, is the Skorpen. But from what I heard, the U series from Germany has returned as a contender. I think the oath is still with the Skorpen, but until the actual contract is signed, everything can still happen. Last on our list is not just one, but various old tactical and light armored vehicles that are still in service, especially in the Army. We're talking about the BTR-40, Ferret, Saracen, and to some extent, the Saladin and the V-150 Commando too. The Indonesian defense companies already have the capability and capacity to build replacement for all of these vehicles. So from what I see, there's no point in keeping these vehicles operational anymore. Our private defense companies have proven themselves by being able to design and build world-class light tactical vehicles. So let's trust them to build the replacement for the BTR-40, Ferret, and Saracen. Meanwhile, Pindad, as a main defense company in Indonesia with experience in manufacturing both 4x4, 6x6, and also fire support vehicles, can take the jobs that the private companies still couldn't do. For example, replacing the V-150 with Komodo and Saladin with Badak. I was happy to hear that the MOD will order 50 Badak FSV to replace Saladin, but then they decided to cut their order to just 14. Will they make a repeat order after this? I hope we'll get the answer soon. Old equipment doesn't necessarily mean it's useless. With upgrade packages, retrofit, repowering, and good maintenance, this old equipment can still be valuable for various operations. Look at the M60 for example. Entered service in the late 50s, and now hundreds of them are still in service with various countries around the world, with modern upgrade packages available provided by third parties. However, everything has a limit. The performance of older equipment is degrading, high cost of maintenance and spare parts, posing more risk to the operators, and more importantly, the deterrence effect of older equipment diminishes over time too. That's why, in my opinion, keeping these pieces of equipment operational won't do any good to Indonesia's defense posture except to boost our rank on the GFP. I still appreciate the government's modernization effort so far and hoping for the modernization program to continue. But we also must not forget that many old defense equipment are still in operation today. And there you have it, several old defense equipment that are still in operation in the Indonesian Armed Forces. Do you agree with my list? Also, do you have other old equipment to add? Share with us in the comment section below. Thank you for watching everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.